Hey YouTube, Chris here, back with another video. Wanted to touch on a subject that I found very interesting as it relates to Whoop 5.0 and the MG. So going to show a video really quick here, and we're going to get into something that I found very interesting that I know was particularly an issue with Whoop previously, even on the 4.0, and that is heart rate and how they relate to like heart rate zones. So we are going to first, let's look at something that supposedly has changed in the 5.0 version. Is there is a difference in the heart rate zones, not heart rate zones specifically, but the heart rate sensors. So I am reading directly from the Whoop support page, and there is an article titled Unlock New with Whoop 5.0. So the overview says Whoop 5.0 brings a major leap forward in sensor technology, battery life, and wearability. So in one of those different key upgrades, there's a section that says under the hood, Whoop 5.0 features an enhanced photo plethysmography PPG in parentheses sensor for cleaner heart rate signals and a more accurate accelerometer for better step tracking and movement classification. It also improves skin temperature tracking compared to Whoop 4.0. So that's one thing. So I found it interesting. I had actually done a little over a 5-mile walk the other day, and so we were just looking at the, okay, so yeah, I was reading right from the website, but let's look at the phone for a minute. That's where we'll start, because I did the other day, oops, that's the old 4.0, rest in peace to that. I did a walk the other day, let's see, oh, I went way too far back there. Okay, so hopefully you can see this bad boy. Alright, so I did a walk, and I wanted to compare some of this data here. Hold on. Let me actually, gonna move the camera down a little bit. Just so. Okay. Move the camera down a little bit there. But yeah, I did a walk the other day, a little over 5 miles, and I got very different results. Well, first let me tell you, when I do activity tracking or workout tracking, I am generally using my Apple Watch Ultra 2 to do that. And then I have it basically feed the data into the health app, and then Whoop can read that data. So I don't really have Whoop tracking the data as much. Like, I don't start the activity in Whoop, it just gets read from there. But during this particular walk, and sorry if you hear some crazy sounds, it is storming right now actually, so kind of sounds like hail's hitting the roof, but it'll be good. But as you can see here, it says zone 3, I spent 3 seconds in. That's another thing that's interesting to me, and I've seen some videos talking about this where people actually set up their own heart rate zones, which Whoop does allow you to do, which is interesting. If you go to view heart rate settings, it'll kind of show you some more information relating to that. But basically, so it says I essentially did zone 0 for 54 minutes of that. It was close to an hour and a half that I was walking. So it says I did zone 0 for close to an hour of that, which is interesting. Max heart rate, it says, was 154. Here's the duration. Average heart rate. So that's interesting. Now, let me go over to the Apple Watch results there. Okay. Now, on the Apple Watch, average. Average heart rate, 148. Average heart rate, 105. So it's just very interesting how different these results really are. It's, I don't know, I find it very interesting. And then like you can get more into the heart rate zones here. 148 through 159 is considered zone 3 on the Apple Watch. So that's 148 to 159. So that will be zone 2 up into zone 3 on the Whoop. And they've only tracked 2 minutes and about 45 seconds total, which is, I don't know, the data is just so different. And from what I've seen online, people generally trust the Apple Watch data from the heart rate and activity perspective a lot more than the Whoop data, which is very interesting. But I can tell you personally, it did feel like I was more in these higher heart rate zones, even just based on the pace. Like I was really trying to keep a decent pace during this particular walk. And I mean, I think it was pretty decent. All in all, it was a 17-minute mile pace, which isn't too crazy. But I mean, from the feeling, it felt like I was moving, if that makes sense. So it's just very interesting, the difference in data points here. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. I think what really frustrates me the most is when you look at the health span and like the data there. So let's go back and let's take it back to today, and then let's go to the health tab here. If you go into health span, right? Let's see here. Here's some parts of it that are very annoying to me. So time and heart rate zones 1, 2, 3 weekly and zone 4 to 5 weekly. These are things that also add on to this particular aging, like the aging algorithm for this. So my thing is, if you're going to be so far off, it seems, from some of the other data I'm receiving, it makes this seem kind of alarming. It gets frustrating because I feel like I should be hitting some of these zones more, but instead it looks like I barely ever touch them. So it's just that was one thing that's very interesting about the whole thing. I feel like unless your heart rate zone tracking during activities gets better, it's tough to include these things in here. Unless there's somewhere where I can say, only include my Apple Watch heart rate zones, don't use whatever the Whoop data tells you. So, I don't know, just one of those things, very interesting to see. Like I said, I tend to trust the Apple Watch data for workouts a little bit more than the Whoop. That's just based on being a Whoop user for a long period of time. I feel like Apple's got the heart rate stuff down a little bit more, especially during activity. I feel like Whoop's great at collecting a bunch of data points over time and a lot more. But when you're doing an actual workout, I trust the Apple Watch more for sure. And it's also frustrating because Whoop is very specific about not allowing you to pull in data from heart rate trackers like these chest heart rate strap trackers, which everybody says is pretty much the gold standard. So I don't know. I just need them to get better at being able to kind of keep in line with some of the other data points I've already got, which is kind of interesting, especially now that data is kind of it's feeding into this health span data here. So I don't know, just something to think about. Also wanted to give an update on these blood pressure insights. I have been doing some readings of my own and comparing those to the Whoop data, and that'll be its own video actually. I'm gonna go over it for like 2 weeks, but been doing some more additional testing and things seem to be falling back into a reasonable state as far as the blood pressure stuff goes. So these are not even estimates, these are real readings with the cuff put on properly, following all the rules for taking that, like feet flat on the ground, back supported, arms putting on the actual manual cuff properly, making sure the hose is toward the center, just all the things that were not done in that original video when I just showed off the general functionality and how you'd start the calibration. So we're gonna get into another video on that specifically, just related to these blood pressure insights, and see what that looks like. Because what I do is I wake up in the morning, see what the Whoop estimate range is, mark that data down via screenshot, and then I actually do 3 readings myself in the morning and at night. So you can kind of see where that's gone. So you got, what was this, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So pretty interesting. None of these are Whoop estimates anymore because I've essentially just done my 3 readings and they've taken the average of that. So it's been interesting, and looking forward to getting into more insights on that, but definitely wanted to talk about that a little bit. I still need 3 days for the new skin temperature readings and the better accuracy there, but yeah, just kind of frustrating, and something I wanted to mention. So I don't know, the data is interesting, but I feel like they still need to get the heart rate game up. So I don't know. Also, need to test battery a little bit. If you can see there, it's about 93%. I just charged this to full 100% some point yesterday. So I don't know. They said 14 days, but I feel like I charge it kind of whenever I'm near the charger, for whatever reason. Just I'm used to that habit. But I don't know. 14 days. I guess I'd need to understand what the 14 days is that perfect conditions, not tracking any workouts, and I don't know. Let's just say I'm slightly skeptical of the 14 days pitch now, and it may just be early software kink bugs, but I don't know. This is like 1 day and it's already at 93%. So what is that, 7%? I don't know. I'm not finding it to be, I don't know, but I guess it's all perspective, right? Apple Watch, I have to charge every other day, no matter what. So, yeah, but stay tuned. And, yeah, just wanted to get an update on this and how things have been going. Might also do a showcase of all the bands I had since they're worthless now, and rest in peace to those. Yeah. And I think Whoop underestimated demand of bands for the 5.0 and the MG, because they're all selling out and just pretty much not available, which I thought maybe that's because they are kind of bundling bands with the original subscription, but I don't know. It's interesting how it's all been working out. So I don't know. I think I'm interested to see if the heart rate data seems to improve, but right now I'm not impressed with that, and I think doubly not impressed when it's a part of these health span algorithms if they're not saying I've ever reached zone 4 or 5 or even 3, which I've definitely reached. So yeah, let me know in the comments what specific content you want on the Whoop, new MG device hardware, and if there's anything specific. But yeah, till next time.